welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast. In this episode, we are in Cincinnati, Ohio to meet Jimmy Longbottom. Jimmy Longbottom is the owner. Is owner the correct word?
Executive director.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Executive director of the Longbottom Bird Rescue here in Cincinnati. We actually just came from it, so we're a little muddy. It's a cool place, really nice place. A lot of ducks.
Yeah, a lot of birds. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. A really nice, muddy place. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I shouldn't say ducks. There's geese and
ducks and geese. Yeah, ducks and geese. Yeah, we just say birds now, but we had chickens for a little while, so we're covering a lot of bird bases.
Nice. So we're gonna get to know how how Jimmy got started with the bird rescue, about some of the birds in there, and just a little bit more about it. So Let's sit back, buckle up, let's go too hard, too fast. Hey.
I'm Jimmy Longbottom, and we're going too hard, too fast.
We're here with the ducks in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm breath on that one. All right, Jimmy. So first question, and we've been talking a lot off camera. So
yeah.
Some of the questions that I'm going to ask you, we've already asked, but just pretend we didn't.
Yeah.
But actually, I was wondering, are you originally from Cincinnati?
I am. Yeah, I was born and raised in northern Kentucky, which counts as Cincinnati, right? If you're from here, and then I went to high school in Cincinnati, but I moved to South Carolina when I was 18. And lived there for 20 plus years and just moved back here in 2019.
You just moved in 2019?
Back to Cincinnati from South Carolina, yeah.
And is 2019 when you started the...
It is, yeah. Same year that I started the rescue. I had some pet ducks, but that was the year I started accepting other birds that needed a home because they were injured or someone didn't want them anymore or some other very sad story.
Yeah. So what made you want to, I know you said you had pet ducks, but what made you, or even the idea, how did that come about?
It's funny because this is a question that how did you get into duck rescue that people will ask me, and I never have a good answer to this because it really was just an accident. I need to come up with a better origin story that makes it sound like something cool happened, like a duck saved my life one time.
Yeah,
and
pulled me out of a river or a lake.
right, and I was like, I will now save you. But no, it was just someone. I had pet ducks that I liked a lot, and someone was trying to get rid of a duck, and we couldn't find a rescue, and then we realized there were no rescues, so I took this duck in, and then posted about it on social media, and then there was another duck, and then another. So they have all this creek, and down there is a really deep pool of water where there's a bunch of ducks swimming. And then I fill up all these kiddie pools also, but on a day like today when it's as muddy as it is, and before you know, and I was really avoiding calling ourselves a rescue for a long time because once we were locked into that, I knew that was my life. But everybody kind of knew the writing was on the wall, so here we are, with a lot of birds.
Okay, how did you learn about the ducks? Because here's the thing, I've been around ducks. I've seen a few. I can tell, I know if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. Right. That's about it. How did you learn about the ducks? Just trial and error? Did you have to really research?
That's it. I mean, you got it, trial and error. Yeah, that was it. There is no great book about ducks I read to teach me everything. It was a lot of, you can go, when I first started sharing about ducks on social media, it was like, I'm just sharing this because when I was trying to figure this out, every time I Google a question, like, what does this mean when a duck has a black dot on the bottom of its foot? There would be 15 contradictory answers available to you. So I was really just trying to share what I would find through trial and error. So it was that, and then it was just a lot of money because every time the little thing would happen, I would pay to go to a specialist or a specialist vet to find out what it was. And a lot of those things now, it's I look back on it, and it's very funny. Now I solved a lot of those issues with $2 worth of eye drops, but back then I was paying hundreds of dollars for a vet to explain what an eye irritation is to me. So.
Oh man, because you get a lot of like also injured ducks.
Yes.
And I know you probably don't want to spend that vet money too much. Mm-hmm. Do you do a lot of the rehabbing yourself, or you have to go outsource?
Both. So there are certain things that I am comfortable in treating myself. Like some of those would be something called foamy eye, which is one of those conditions I used to pay a vet a lot of money, and it just takes eye drops and making sure they're cleaning their eyes. Wet feather, when their feathers stop producing the oil to keep them weatherproof, so they get dirty and wet. I can do that one myself. But then there are other ones like infections that I still go to a vet pretty regularly for those, because we have so many birds and so many things can happen. So a bit of both. Some stuff I do myself and I'll do for others when they reach out looking to solve. But we still spend a lot of money going to the vet. Yeah.
No, I bet. What's wet feather? Like you said that.
Yeah, so ducks have this is like that part where when I have the education classes where I worry about getting too specific about educational stuff and watching everyone fall asleep on me. But wet feather is when the preening gland, the little gland above the tail that lets out oil that it rubs all over its feathers to keep them waterproof, it just stops working for some reason. That could be it just got too dirty or something. And when that happens, those feathers stop being waterproof, so they stay dirty and damp, and the duck stays cold all the time. So what you have to do is give that duck a bath in a bathtub and hand dry it with a blow dryer for 3 days. And you'll cure wet feather.
Really? That's it?
As long as you're willing to do that. It's like it restarts the gland. It's like it just like jump starts it. Yeah.
Do you say willing because it's a tough job to give a duck a bath?
Yeah, I'm willing to do it. But a lot of times when I'm like, hey, here's the solution. You just have to take your duck into your house and give it a bath for 3 days. A lot of folks aren't interested in that kind of work.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have dogs and
yeah,
I hate giving them a bath. Sure. It's usually my wife that does it.
Yes.
But I'm assuming with the duck, it would like to be in water, so it wouldn't fight you too much.
Oh, taking those baths? Mm-hmm. Oh, it loves it. Yeah, that's the difference. My dog doesn't want to get in the bath either. When I say giving a duck a bath, it's really just filling the bathtub, tossing the duck in there, and you can go make dinner. So it's a lot easier in that way. But yeah, like keeping a duck at your house, like right now, I think you saw that I have a couple ducklings out at the farm, and I'm trying to find someone to keep them in their home. But in this crate, there's 2 few-day-old baby ducklings I'm trying to coax out. So finding like fosters who are willing to do things like give ducks baths or keep little ducklings in their basement it's difficult to find people willing to do that. Yeah, everybody's busy.
No, I bet. And having a duck versus having a dog is probably night and day. Yeah. That's funny. You would think I have a dog and I have many ducks. You would think I would have thought of the differences before. But I don't know which is more difficult. Well, we did meet Gracie, her name, right? You started calling her like right off. We just initially met, and then he's like, "Hey, that's Gracie. She's cool." And then you start calling her like a dog.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Gracie would be the hybrid of the dog duck that I have. Yeah, Gracie is a Canada goose that was brought home as a baby from some park. They raised her, and then when she was an adult, she nipped the kid in the face of the family, which is, it's just love nips, but it's very scary if you're a kid or an adult.
Yeah.
And they needed to find her a better home, so that's how she came to us, because we just couldn't release her into the wild. She's too friendly, as you saw, and I think she's just going to end up getting kicked by some people. So now she just follows me around like you got to witness today.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Like I turned around there, she was right there. Yeah.
Want to say hi?
I think she's probably more
No, she's good. The worst, she might nibble a little bit on your fingers, but she doesn't have teeth or anything.
I will admit that I'm one of those people that is afraid of a dog bite. Well, definitely dog bite. I've been bitten by dogs, but of a duck bite. Like I've never been bit by a duck. I always thought it would be just as probably as bad as dogs, because I don't know if this is a wrong thing to do, but I used to go to the lake and toss bread at the ducks.
Oh.
But once you run out of bread, and those ducks are and they come at you, wings flapping. Very scary situation.
Yeah, as the person who has been attacked, I don't mind saying this, and if Guinness World Records wants to come down to Cincinnati, I'll tell it to their face, but I think I've been bit by more ducks than anyone alive, or geese maybe. And it is, like, it's very scary. Always very scary, like, or startling at the very least. It is funny. That's a memory I have from when I was a kid, is holding bread next to me and a duck came up from behind and bit my finger and me just being like, they're the most terrifying creature I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah. But I wish we would have taken the opportunity when you were out at the farm for us to go one by one. I would have let a Canada goose bite you and you would have been like, okay, that's good.
For the camera, I would definitely. But if you catch me off camera, I'm like, nah, man, I don't know if I can do that.
You looked pretty brave out there.
No, so. I mean they were all very nice.
Yeah.
The ones that wanted to come around and see who you were, and the ones that just wanted to do their own thing. Mm-hmm. I never felt like I was gonna have a bread situation.
No.
I was worried because we were like eating in the car on the way over there because we were like, we're probably gonna be a while. I don't know when we're gonna eat.
Sure.
So we ate, and I was worried. I was like, can they smell the food on my fingers?
They gonna know about that bread? They might have. Yeah. They are usually more interested when they're out running around like that in the mud and the worms in that mud than anything we would have. That's their favorite snack, really, is mud.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they? So that they eat the mud and digest it, or they just spit it back out?
They're just digging for worms.
Oh, okay.
They're just digging for worms in there, but it looks like they're just
eating mud
all day. Yeah,
Ducks. That's what I did as a kid.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
As someone that has been bitten by ducks, what would you say it feels like?
I describe it as a potato chip clip, like you would put on a bag of potato chips. Or like a close clip, just closing that on your skin. That's almost exactly what it feels like. Now, sometimes you can snap it closed, and sometimes you slowly close it.
That's true.
It's going to feel different, but that's as much damage as a duck or a goose that I have out there can do to you.
Oh, okay.
Which I've had maybe a bruise or two, but that's about as far as they go.
That's funny. That's interesting. Me and my son do this. Clip ourselves all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. Yeah. We're eating chips and like, hey, man.
Exactly. Just call it a goose bite. That's a goose bite. That's all it is. Yeah.
Well, less afraid now.
So.
Wait, what was the question? Do they have teeth? Do they have teeth?
So they have ducks and geese at the bottom of their bottom jaw. They have a little area that I say is serrated, but that makes it seem more fierce than it is. It's just a little sharp area where they can just break off the ends of pieces of grass or plants. It can't do damage to me or you.
Okay.
But no teeth.
Sometimes do they get a little more serrated than others? Because maybe it's just my head. But I feel like I've seen some ducks that have like when they quack, you can see like a little more than others.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, like our teeth look different. I personally have never noticed just because I don't look. I just let them bite,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm here.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I'm trying to rescue you.
I'm trying to rescue you. You want to bite me? It's fine. It's no big deal. But I bet. Yeah. There are like another example, not for me to go on and on about ducks biting me, but I will.
No, please. This is why we're here.
There's the French goose Gaston, who you saw a little bit of. When I went and captured him, it was the first big goose I'd ever taken in, and he was laying next to a car honking at his reflection because his partner had just got ran over by a car. That's what had happened. So he was honking, thinking he was talking to his partner, And I walked up and he ran at me and grabbed onto my leg. And it was the first time any bird had like hurt me, because I was like, oh, this is like, do you have teeth? And it's just they have really strong jaws. So he's able to clamp down, and he left a pretty sizable bruise. But it's about the worst any bird's ever been able to hurt me. But he did also make it easy for me to just bend down and pick him up. So
then now he's like pretty chill now that he's been around, or he's still very timid?
No, he's good. He doesn't get near me, but he doesn't bite me ever. We keep a respectful distance from each other. Yeah.
Good. How do you come up with the names for these ducks?
It's all people on the internet. I have named none of the birds at the bird ranch. So I do a couple things. One is I get a new bird, I'll like post it and I'll be like, all right, here's the new duck. $5, puts your name in a raffle, and we pull it out, and that's how most of them got their names. Awesome. And then last year we started a program of sponsorship where you can pay to sponsor a bird for a whole year, and you get like a card with their picture. And with the unnamed ducks, you get to name them as part of your sponsorship. So other people name them all. A lot of great names, but I know all the names, and I know the difference between all the ducks. If you named a duck, I use the name every day, I promise you.
That is interesting, because I did see you like, calling it each one by name, and then some you were called by their mannerisms, like, this one's gonna do this, and this. That was so cool. That obviously that shows that you're spending your time with them, and that's the only way you would know them. Because I know you were pointing out some at the rescue, and it's like, in that one, and I was just like, they all look the same to me. Yes, which one are you pointing at?
Right. Well, we have one that won Best Artist in Cincinnati and City Beat last year, and the voting's open right now, everyone. But I'll be out there, and she's just a white duck, and I'll be like, oh, and that's Cincinnati's Best Artist, and I'll point her out to people, and they'll be like, which one are you talking about? I'm like, oh, you can't see her? She's right there. Yeah. So, but when you spend 7 days a week with them, they all start to have their own personalities.
Nice.
Did she come out in like a magazine?
Kiwi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So City Beat Cincinnati does a voting every year, just Best of Cincinnati. And we last year were nominated in a bunch of categories, and one of them was Best Local Artist. So she won Best Local Artist because she makes paintings. She walks over canvases with like paint on her feet, and we sell them. So Best Local Artist, and then the second place winner and her put together an art gallery where they collaborated on pieces.
Was the second winner a human?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. It's a good question. Yeah.
Losing out to it.
It was a donkey, and then it was an elephant. Yeah. So they did a gallery together, which was cool. But we also won a bunch of other stuff. But one of them was that one-winged goose you saw. Mm-hmm. She came in third place in Best Cincinnatian. She lost 2. First place, Fiona the hippo. What are you going to do? No. Joe Burrow. All right.
Understandable.
Colleen the goose, huh? That's pretty good. Right?
That's not bad. That's awesome.
Well, I'm hoping she's going to win first place this year because she's up again.
Yeah, she's coming for you, Burrow.
Yeah, well, we're going to take him down. Yeah. Well, if we, I don't want to date this, but it depends how things go here shortly. If the Cincinnati is, we'll see how the Steelers game goes.
Oh yeah. So whenever you're watching this, we're all sitting on pins and needles right now, waiting on the Steeler game. So the one you mentioned with the one wing, I've noticed on Instagram you do get quite a few that come in injured. A lot of is it human-related injuries or animal-related injuries?
It's both. Often it is hit by a car, or it is shot with a BB gun. But then there's a lot of predator attacks. It's a lot of people who had pets who got attacked by raccoons or fox or coyote or hawks, and they, need their pet to survive, but they don't have the means to take it to the vet. So we'll do that, but then we usually keep them after that. But yeah, it's a mix of both.
Yeah. Right now, when they're out on the field, Do you, in their location, are you worried about predators?
Yes, but because I'm worried about them, I do a pretty good job of keeping them away. So the big four, hawks are the only one that's a daytime concern. No hawks.
And they're like, no.
Oh yeah. Do y'all get a lot here?
Oh, hawks. Yeah.
Oh, well, because of the forest.
We get a lot of predators. So like today, like us leaving for a while, like I'll do this when I go to the store and stuff and leave them all out. The only predator that I really have to worry about is hawks. But the hawks are typically scared of geese.
Oh, yeah.
So that's it. And at night they're all locked up in these fortresses. So
Yeah.
they may not look pretty, but they
They
keep all
work.
the bad things out.
Yeah, they would.
And the evening, the nocturnal predators, the fox, the coyotes, the raccoons, the raccoons are the worst. I've built those houses, those structures you saw, to be able to keep all of them out. So when they come out at night, all the ducks are already locked up.
The raccoons are probably the worst because they can figure out how to unhinge things and stuff like that, right? Like they're pretty smart about it.
They're smart. I don't know why we're all so amazed with all these other animals, because a raccoon is the most amazing animal. Like, is the smartest animal that must exist in the universe. I've seen raccoons do things. Man, I've seen raccoons do things. And like undo locks and open doors. They've got the thumbs so they can reach in and grab things. But it's taken some years, but I think the forest and I have a pretty good truce going on right now.
Nice.
So we've had a good year, me and the creatures of the forest.
Good. I hope that continues. For sure. I know my wife, she's off screen.
Yeah.
But she really loves raccoons are cool. We have cameras around our house, for security, but also for the animals that are out there.
Yeah.
Mostly we try to catch the raccoons because I know we'll see a couple run around at night, but we can never catch them on video.
Yeah.
We usually catch a lot of possums or cats or whatever. But the raccoons are always stealing food from our neighbor. Well, they moved now, but our neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
It would run in, grab some, run out, and then eat it, and then come back in and get some more. They're always trying to capture that. Raccoons are definitely something.
Oh, I love them. We should all it should be on the American flag. Just put a raccoon up there. It's the most interesting animal in the world.
When it's winter, as of right now, we're in the winter season. You built the shelters. Do the shelters, do they not exist? Well, they do because of the predators.
Yeah.
But the way you have them covered is different, or are they always covered like that?
They're not. Yeah. So the version you saw of them, which is the version that's really embarrassing for people to see because they're just like, it looks like their house is wrapped in trash bags, right? That's just for the winter. So that is what looks like just a bunch of garbage on top of these houses is 10 millimeter plastic sheeting that creates like a greenhouse effect inside those houses to keep the ducks warm over winter without the external electricity. All right, most of the ducks are out, but you can see the roof totally collapsed the other day in that record snow. I have it propped up by a bunch of pitchforks, an umbrella, a tent. And I don't have supplies to fix it, but I have to because every night when I go home, I dream of this roof collapsing on these birds. So I think I'm going to try and open that tent inside of this house. Probably won't work, but rarely does anything I do. But when it's not winter, all that plastic's gone, and those are all big, just wire houses. And they move onto fresh pasture every day. So it's like the ducks, even if I'm not there and they're locked in there, it's like they're living on the pasture. They've got, fresh air, water, shade. They can dig in the grass for worms. They just don't have to worry about other things coming in to get them. That's the idea.
Okay. Because what I'm thinking right now is like, you know how a dog can like self-regulate its heat sometimes?
Yeah.
And they curl up and they kind of just Are they able to do that with their feathers, or is that not a thing?
Wow. Yes, they are. Well done. Yeah. That is the whole, when we talked about wet feather, the whole reason that they need their feathers to be maintained and they're always swimming and cleaning them is because it is about temperature regulation.
Also, was that sarcasm? I felt like that was sarcasm.
It was not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, not at all.
Sarcasm.
No.
I was gonna take it anyways. I was like, I know I asked this question earlier after I got it.
No, no, not at all. Because I feel like I often, when I'm explaining.
No, but if it was, it would have been welcome.
Okay, cool. But no, it's the regulation of their body temperature is one of those like nerd facts that I feel like I'm always pushing on people. So when you ask about it, I'm like, yes, I get to talk about the feathers. That's so great. But yeah, because under the feathers, if they keep them clean and waterproof, no matter what's going on or how cold it is, at their body, they're dry. And they can kind of like open them up to cool themselves off or close them down to keep themselves warm. So that's exactly how they regulate their body temperature. And they can do that to a point, right? Even with a dog curling up or any animal, there's a point where you're freezing.
It's too much, yeah. And we talked about this a little bit off camera.
Are they also like other birds, how they kind of stop their heart rate? Or like, do you know? Because I know some birds or pigeons, they like kind of reduce their heart rate.
Yeah, the question is, if they reduce their heart rate like other birds do in winter. The answer is, I don't know. I have no idea. It's a good question. It is.
We had this one pigeon come to our house one time.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a carrier pigeon or some sort of, it was like a domesticated pigeon. And I was like, oh no, how is it it's gonna be cold. Like, what do we do? And then I read and I was like, oh, it'll stop its heart rate to go down and kind of like be in the winter. I don't know. Because we've never had a pet pigeon and it just kind of had a house. I don't know, found our house.
Maybe it doesn't stop its heart, but it slows it down a lot.
It lowers it down to like, I don't know, like acclimate or something. I forgot what it is. But I was like, oh, okay, I wonder if ducks do that too. But no, maybe it's just their feathers.
I mean, they 1,000% might do that. Yeah. Like I had said earlier, I was not kidding. I never read a book about any of this. So I am still finding out some things where I'm like, all right.
I wonder if there's a way to find that out without having to like be too intrusive.
Come
here.
Well, the way you hold a duck, and this is actually maybe an answer to in some way. When you hold a duck like I hold the ducks, you have your hand over their heart. So you are feeling, I'm doing that on purpose because especially when I'm in a situation where it's a new duck that I've just taken in, or I'm at an event and this is like one of our ambassador ducks, is I am trying to monitor like how stressed they are. So you're feeling the heartbeats. So there is a way to like monitor the heartbeat. I just don't know. We'd need maybe a student from the college can come down and do some experiments.
Off camera, we talked about my experience of when for people that are watching, if you're watching and you're in Cincinnati or in the Ohio area, I'm from Texas. Doesn't really get that cold over there, but every once in a while it'll freeze, it'll snow, and everything shuts down. So my experience once as a college kid, we were walking the university after everything's frozen, like legit frozen, ice everywhere, and I saw a duck covered in ice, like up to its neck, and I knew it was still alive because it would kind of like move a little bit every once in a while, but other than that, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. Obviously the thought was like, should I save it, should I do something, but I didn't. Spoiler alert. I left it alone. But I always wondered about like, did that duck die? Did it survive? And then I started like, I'm sure they're fine. They probably deal with this all the time. Texas is not the only place where ducks exist. Everywhere else there's ducks. They'd figure out. But are they able to survive stuff like that?
Yeah, that's a great way for me to talk about, I guess, the main thing that we do and why we do it is we take in domestic ducks that are special breeds of ducks, like the one you talk about that you would have seen on that pond frozen. These are breeds that humans bred a couple hundred years ago to be bigger, fatter ducks that we could use for food. So because they're bigger and fatter, they can't fly. So if you can't fly, you can't migrate. And if you can't migrate, you can't, avoid freezing to death in the winter. You can't go find, let's say you get dropped in a pond where your previous owner drops you and there's no good food around there and you're a big fat duck who needs a lot of food. You can't fly somewhere where there's better food, so you just starve. Or if a coyote comes after you, you're not flying away. So you're the first one to go.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to take in these specific domestic breeds and give them a home forever because they cannot survive in the wild. And those are the type people can get as pets. So I think your question was, can they survive in the wild? The answer is no. But wild breeds can, like your mallards or your wood ducks that we saw today or your Canada geese. But typically, it's a hard time in Texas because you don't get that cold that often. Mm-hmm. That ducks will still call Texas home year round. Right. Unlike here where they're like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So that's a tough situation to be in, especially I'm sure for many reasons. When you all have like harsh winter weather out of nowhere, you're just not prepared for it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Which
is also hard to teach a kid about migration. Because it's like our birds don't leave; they stay here.
Yeah, they all migrate except for these ones, the ones we have. Yeah,
those are just there.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, they'll go across the border, but they'll come back.
Yeah, they just.
But yeah, the ones that you do have, like you pointed out one that I believe you said lives in a tree or nests in a tree.
Nests in a tree.
And it's free to go whenever it wants because it's not injured. It just decides to stay there. Does that make it tough on you? Well, I'm assuming it does because of the money you have to spend for its food. Mm-hmm. But does it attract more birds of the same kind? Like uninjured birds that just come and hang out because they're like, there's free food?
Not sarcastic. Great question.
No, it's okay even if it was.
Because that happened the first time this year. So that's why. And so if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have given you a much different answer. I've never, as long as we've been out there, we've never had wild ducks come and just show up. This is the first year where I had wild ducks that I had raised because it was, if you're in Cincinnati and you find a hurt mallard and you need to help it, you Google duck Cincinnati, what do I do? And we just come up because we do so many silly duck as an artist things. So they brought us a bunch of ducklings, little hurt wild ducklings. So I raised a bunch of wild ducks, hoping they would, like the one you talked about, Tiny, the wood duck, migrate when the time came. But they, spoiler alert, did not. But we did have a pair of mallards come and join them halfway through the summer, which caused actually a big issue for me because as a nonprofit rescue, we have quarantine procedures where we do not want bird flu. So wild birds mixing with my birds is a problem.
Yeah.
So I had to try and separate them multiple times. And eventually that wild pair flew away and took with them 2 of our ducks.
Wow.
So 2 did leave.
Oh, that's awesome. Because obviously that's the goal is for them to eventually head back.
I would love that. Yes.
It's difficult. It rarely happens where they get to go back to the wild.
That's the only time I've ever seen it happen was that story I told you. And so it happens with wild ducks often. Like some of those ducks I still have. Like I could reintroduce them to the wild, like drive them far away and leave them in a pond and they would probably be okay. I just don't want to do that.
Is it because of the back of your mind you'll be worried that they might not?
Yeah, it's tough with those because it's I raised it from a day old, and I just even if that would say offer up some room for maybe another duck, I get to take my. That's how I pay myself.
Yeah.
I get to keep this duck because it wants to be here and all that. But but they can. I mean, but like I said, they are like with the Canada geese. They can go anytime they want. But at nighttime, when I lock the door to the houses to keep everybody safe, if they're in there, they're getting locked in with everybody else, and that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah. There's no way to do this without getting attached, right?
Maybe there is, but I'm not the one who figured out how to do it. Yeah. So no, I get. Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons it makes me not as good at this job as maybe someone else would be how attached I get. But, yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I usually think about that with zoos because people that work with the animals, they do get attached, and when they pass away, the people, the employees of the zoo are very heartbroken. So I can imagine, being the one and only person working with them. Naming them is probably the first step to attachment. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I don't know if you can do it without naming a duck.
Yeah, I'm sure there are places that do. I really did it because I do need to know. Naming them serves multiple purposes. I have to do health checks on every duck, so I have a spreadsheet with all these ducks on it. So them having names feels more personal than reading like Pekin number 200. So that's good, but. There are certainly a lot of steps to attachment, but there is a lesson that like you have to learn along the way that unlike with having like a pet, I've always had pets. I've always had like dogs. I have over 100 birds out there right now that each one came from some sad story. None of them came from, they wouldn't be with me if they were on a winning streak, right? Mm. And...
That's a Jelly Roll song right there.
But they.
Sorry.
No, that's good. I thought it was funny. I just lost my train of thought. But they. Becoming attached. So I end up attached just because, they're not on a winning streak, and I know their sad story. And often, you're going to lose some of these birds too. Mm. And when you have a lot of them, you're going to lose more in a calendar year than you would if you just had a couple pets. So there's that piece of it too, which is always hard. But we know, like a good example is we had one duck we got 2 years ago who was already very old and very sick, and he passed this year. But we do get to go to sleep knowing he got 2 good years of pain medication and food and never wanting for anything, and sometimes that's all we can do for him.
Yeah, that's good. And then there's also the ones that you can prolong a little bit longer, or even the one with the 2 years that he probably wouldn't have had those 2 years at all.
Yeah, that's in theory, he was dropped at a cemetery. Him and another one named Grumpy G, and they got left at a cemetery. And I spent all day trying to catch them, and it was around Halloween. And I just remember being like, "This is so appropriate." Going back to off camera, we were talking about some haunted things earlier. As they were our haunted ducks. That was our haunted pair of ducks we got from the cemetery.
Any weird stuff with them?
Yeah. The Grumpy G spins her head around backwards and screams stuff and spits up. No. Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever.
Do you bury your ducks or cremate your ducks? Or I don't know, because our dogs would cremate our dog,
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't. But I will. I'll tell you on this podcast what I do. That's a great question.
Not sarcastic.
Not sarcastic. What do I do with the ducks when they pass? It depends on what they passed from. But often I have a little space on that pasture you all were at, like way past, like you might have were down the creek, which is still in the pasture I lease. There's a little clearing in the woods, and I will usually lay them there. And then the next day they will be gone. And so it is like, kind of like on some spiritual level, like a good way for me at least to
Like they're giving back.
giving back. Right.
That's what the ones have been good to you.
Yes, exactly. Like we have well, it's kind of like, I'm like, yeah, you raccoons want to break in all the time. I know you're hungry. There you go. So usually that's what I do.
That's almost like a Viking send-off right there.
Yeah. But it's really funny about that is this is breaking news because I have maybe never said that out loud. That's what we do with the ducks, but that's how it's worked for years. Yeah.
It's a good honor. I mean, excuse me. They are coming from the earth and from the wild, and so you're taking them back. Whether they make that decision on their own and leave, or they pass, and they're given back to the wild. Dude, that's like a full circle thing. That's cool.
Well, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess that's how I try and think. What I think about it is I have a strange relationship with all the animals that want to kill my ducks, in that I like them. I know they're just hungry.
Oh.
Like I don't, I don't have a problem with them. So it is almost like, I get it. You're hungry.
Yeah.
There you go.
I try to make it poetic, but
yeah,
that's right.
No, sorry.
That's perfect. Keep them coyotes away. This is dang raccoons.
Yes. That was beautiful, but really, I'm just, that's great.
Here's a little bit of a controversial question. It's not going to be that bad.
What do I do? What do I do with all the past ducks? Was as controversial as I thought I was going to get.
You think so? Well, I want.
What?
I guess so. Because you probably get you probably eat some.
Or people have asked me that. Yeah, or if I would sell them to them after for that reason, which I would. I would just do the thing I did. But no, I just like it because it's a question I've never answered before, and I like it. Yeah, that's fun.
Nice, good. Yeah. Mine won't be as good then. Oh, shoot! I already forgot it. What is the best way for these ducks to not have to come to a rescue? Not just your rescue, but just in general. Because I know you've mentioned a lot. They're someone's pets. They can't take care of them anymore. What's the best way to just avoid?
So in a perfect world, this is what I think it looks like. If I'm being realistic, the issue we have with so many people getting pet ducks is how they are living creatures being sold like they're an impulse buy item at the grocery store. Like that is, you go and do a Tractor Supply. That is what it's like when you go through there. It's just like they'll have a little cardboard sign that says 50 cents for these ducks, and anybody can buy them. So stopping that sale is how we start to heal this problem, that the people who have no idea what they're getting into can just buy a duck for 50 cents and take it home. Is the real issue for me. So if we stop that, then we stop the people that don't know what they're doing from getting these ducks and from dumping them, because you could still get a duck if you wanted. You just have to go to a hatchery up the road. But a person going to a hatchery has a little bit more intention behind what they're doing. Maybe they've even Googled, where do I get a duck, and read about ducks, where that doesn't always happen at Tractor Supply. So I guess my long answer to your very simple question was not selling them to people who haven't done their research. So get them out of the Tractor Supplies. Yeah. Once they have the duck, if they don't like it, it's kind of too late. You just got to bring it. It's just got to come to me.
Bring it to Longbottom.
Yeah.
I never even thought. I don't think I've ever seen. I don't really have a lot of reason to go to a Tractor Supply. Yeah. But I've never seen just any store. But I can see like how it can be an impulse buy. Like you're just. It's almost like getting like when you're leaving a store, you have a kid and they see like the candy aisle on the way out.
It's exactly what you should all go to Tractor Supply after this. Yeah, it's exactly like that. They just go in, and I have 2 ducks were purchased by a kid. A 9-year-old kid bought them without their parent there and brought them to me. And I'm like, oh, wait, like this. You can't buy cigarettes. You can buy
a living animal.
You can buy some living animals. And it really is terrible because I love Tractor Supply is a store minus that. Like they have all the special stuff I need, but but I can't support them as long as they're continuing to create the reason that I need to do this all day. Right. I want to go on vacation, Tractor Supply. Stop selling ducks.
Do you get to go on vacation? Do you get to have any time off?
No. So I'm the primary and only care provider for the birds. So no, I have been able to have people like watch for like a day or two and been able to go do stuff. But now just with how many, I've got a duck at my apartment that can't walk. I've got those 2 ducklings and all that. It's too much. But we hope to get to a place where we're able to bring on some other people sometime this year.
Nice. Not to get too much into like the details, but what does a typical day look like for you?
Straw, buckets of water, buckets of feed. These are the 3 every day. Those are the 3 things I got to get done. And then I can add a million other projects on top of that. But really it's fresh straw down to keep their feet warm so they don't get frostbite. Make sure they got food and make sure they've all got clean, clear drinking water. They don't just, every day they have to have clean water to drink.
Although I saw a lot of them drinking mud water.
Well, to be fair, all this stuff I just told you I have to do every day. I still have to do today. I haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay. So. Well, we're not going to keep you long.
No, you're good. But they'll have clean water eventually, and it'll stay clean for about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Usually.
No, and that wasn't a dig on you. I just meant like the ducks are probably still just you'll do all this, and the ducks are like, I'm going to go drink out of the puddle.
I got to tell you, that's exactly what it's like. I will fill those swimming pools out there. And they'll just throw mud in them 2 seconds later. It's like, that took me 2.5 hours to fill 8 swimming pools.
Around what time do you get to leave daily?
It's really it's all based on the sun. So this time of year, I'm usually out there as long as the sun is in the sky. But then during the summer, I work more 9 to 5 type hours.
Okay,
but
that's interesting.
It's funny. It's funny for me to have talked about it like 9 to 5 hours. It certainly doesn't feel like that.
No, I bet it doesn't.
It feels like
24/7.
It feels muddier. So it feels like,
but you had a question, the ambassadors?
Just who your ambassador ducks are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do a lot of education events around. So I did like a tour of breweries called Birds and Brews, where we went to 40 different breweries in the region. So I have like certain ducks, the ambassador ducks that I bring to all of these things in the schools and all that. The ones that I have taken a lot of places and feel more comfortable being around people. And those would be the local artist winner, Kiwi the duck, Huck, the one with the
mohawk looking.
Yeah, because he's always people love that duck. Sometimes I don't bring him on days where I'm like, I can't talk about your hair on your head for 3 hours today, so we'll bring someone else. And then I rotate out usually a third duck, and that all depends on the day. But there's probably about like 15 that I would bring. But it's a great question because there are a number of ducks that will never go to any of these events because they just have, their personalities are so different. They have they're too agitated. So just the ones that are cool and calm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gracie doesn't go anywhere. I've considered it, and I still am considering it. It's Gracie's residency at the Longbottom Bird Rescue is also a legal gray area, so you can leave it in. No one's prosecuted me over that. But so having her at like a brewery may bring too much attention to it. What it is there's you can, like the ones that I got the wing amputated, Canada geese, you can help them. But you have to, like any wild animal, you have to let them leave if they want to leave. So Gracie's welcome to leave, as you saw, anytime she wants to leave. But the second that she goes into that house at night and I lock that door behind her, it becomes a little like, she can't leave anymore.
I can see that. She looked like she was very much happy. Where she is.
She is. Yes.
Yeah. So
the law exists so people won't go around kicking Canada geese at the park. It doesn't exist to stop people from helping them.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I can't imagine why would people kick.
I've got all of those geese that BB pellets pulled out of them. So people.
I mean, I was a little bit of a troublemaker. did not shoot any goose or geese. I will not incriminate myself by saying what I was shooting with BBs, but I can see the nonsense with that. But I would never, like, even as a little troublemaker kid, I would never want to kick a duck. Like I said, I was afraid of them. Or a geese, much less.
Sorry.
Very good. Well, before I'm gonna ask you your final question, your too hard, too fast story. But before that, what are the biggest struggles for the rescue, and then how can people help you?
Well, I would imagine everyone in my position would say the same thing, and it's money. We became a 501c3 nonprofit this year, so all donations over $250 are tax deductible, and that has been a big help to us because also it allows us to apply for grants. But I'm also, in addition to being the primary caregiver, the primary grant writer, so I don't get much time to do it. So it's really been donations from all over the world. We have strangers who donate money to help the wayward birds of Cincinnati. So donating through the website, there's a lot of fun options. You can buy merch, stuff like that.
Nice. And people can follow you on Instagram.
Instagram at Longbottom Bird Rescue.
Perfect. So too hard, too fast story. This is it could be a funny story, a cautionary tale, or words of wisdom, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay. Well, my too hard, too fast story will be about birds. That's okay?
Oh, that's perfect.
Good. So I've got these Canada geese, and I ended up with these first two, Clarence and Colleen, because someone was really saw they got ran over by a car. Their wings were on upside down, like they had bullet holes in them. And I had to get them surgery, and then I've got these two Canada geese out at a farm, and they want to leave. They're like, we don't want to be here. And I had never experienced this before because I have all these ducks that just go where I tell them to go. So I would chase them around to try and get them in that little house so I could lock them up at night and give them their medicine so they'd be safe. And I would run after them, and I would dive after them, and you saw the mud out there. And it would constantly, it would take me hours to get them to go in that little house that today you watched me walk them in pretty easily.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And for a long time, it was my whole half of my day was dedicated to convincing them to go in that house. And what I learned, my life lesson was, one day I just stood back and just walked slowly behind them. And I realized that every step I would take, they would go in that direction. And if I just walked slowly, I could get them to go anywhere I wanted them to go. And as long as they kind of thought it was their idea, right? As long as it wasn't a man chasing them someplace and they kind of thought they were doing their own thing. I could probably get them to make me a cup of tea if I wanted. But that is a lesson that was really important for me, as it was kind of like, hey, just trying to hammer it in. I'm just trying to solve this problem, so I'm just going to keep beating it until it works. And the solution was, which has been the solution to a lot of things out there, take a deep breath, take a step back, and you're like, oh, just be gentle. And sometimes it's a lot easier that way.
Yeah. Slow down, enjoy the moment.
That's it. That's it.
And you did that with like very much grace. Like it was perfect. I almost laughed though at the very end. One just shot out, ran the other way, and as you went to go get him, another one started poking its head out like, it's free. I'm free to go. Yeah. But it kind of like second thought, it kind of like backpedaled in as you were coming back.
Yeah, they wanted they knew there were people out there watching, so they wanted me to look bad. Yeah.
No, that was cool. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you taking us to the ranch or to the rescue. That was super cool. A really good experience.
Great. Thank you so much.
No, this was awesome. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we've just gone too hard, too fast. Remember, slow down, enjoy the moment. Bye.